On a cold March morning in 2016, an excavator knocked part of a wall down near an abandoned warehouse by a railroad crossing the locals simply called 47.
Crossing number 47.
That place was always damp. Fog clung to the brush like wet cotton, and the rails shined as if a lifetime had just slid across them.
The construction foreman, a man named Brian Miller, didn't even understand what the excavator had uncovered at first.
Inside the warehouse sat an old truck.
Not some museum classic, just a forgotten piece of metal nobody had bothered to scrap. A dark blue International, early 90s model, with Missouri plates.
And the cargo box had been welded shut.
Not locked. Not sealed. Welded like someone didn't want it opened ever again.
On the driver's door, there was a deep scratch shaped like the letter M.
Brian stopped the job. He didn't need to be a detective to feel it. This wasn't a normal find. Sometimes fear doesn't explain itself.
It just shows up, sits beside you, and stays quiet.
Brian called 911. Police arrived fast.
Within an hour, a crime scene tent was up, red and blue lights flashed through the fog, and the workers started talking in half whispers like they were afraid of waking up whatever was inside.
Quick thing. Type your city in the comments. I genuinely want to know where you're listening from. And subscribe.
Because what you're about to hear is the kind of story that makes urban legends look like polite bedtime tales. Detective Ethan Cole got there while the fog still hadn't lifted.
Tall guy. A little gray at the temples.
The kind of man who speaks less because he's seen more. He circled the truck.
Photographed the plates. Tapped the weld seams.
Then he looked through the cracked cab window and saw something that felt wrong.
Keys still in the ignition.
On the passenger seat, a faded motel receipt.
Date, November 15, 1991.
Next to it, a pack of Marlboros and a lighter engraved with two initials.
PC.
Cole leaned closer.
The smell was faint. Not the dramatic smell of death movies love to sell.
More like old rubber, damp concrete, and something else, something uneasy.
Like the place hadn't just been abandoned. Like it had been keeping a secret.
Cole gave a short order.
Open it.
The welder worked without speaking. The crackle of the torch sliced through the silence, sparks fell on the concrete, leaving black scars. When the cargo door finally dropped, a breath of wrong air rolled out. That wasn't the smell of cargo. That was the smell of a truth that had been locked away too long. Inside were wooden crates.
12 of them. Stacked neatly in rows, like an archive or a display. Each one marked 1991 with strange numeric codes.
They pried the first crate open on sight.
Cole pulled on gloves and started taking things out. Not auto parts. Documents in plastic sleeves. Photographs wrapped in wax paper.
Personal items arranged with almost museum-level care. A driver's license, Daniel Reed. A wristwatch, hand stopped at 3:17. An envelope addressed to Kansas City, written in careful handwriting.
The foreman, Brian, couldn't hold it in anymore. What is this? Cole didn't even look at him. These are people.
And he was right.
Because every next crate was somebody else's life. A different name.
A different photo of a woman holding a child.
A different keychain, one with a little horseshoe. 12 times. 12 men, 12 disappearances.
12 evidence sets, packaged like exhibits. And then came the detail that made even the crime scene text exchange looks.
There were belongings for 12 men.
But when they later drained the old quarry outside town, they found only 7 bodies.
7. Not 12.
Which meant one thing: this story wasn't finished.
Back at the station, Cole opened the archive.
The file was buried in the far corner where the dust is so thick even paperwork coughs.
Case number 147891. Driver Paul Dawson and his dispatcher, Daniel Reed. Transport Company, Holloway Logistics. On November 15, 1991, they left St. Louis for Chicago. Cargo, auto parts. Last seen near crossing number 47. Time, 9:43 p.m. Witness, crossing attendant Walter Simmons. Cole made a note.
Then told his assistant, find everyone who worked that crossing. And everyone who was on shift that night, November 15, 1991. That night, as it turned out, there was fog. Visibility, under 150 feet. Temperature, just below freezing. And one more thing, according to Simmons, he remembered the smell. Burnt like rubber. Like something had been torched. Simmons still lived in the same apartment building he had 25 years earlier.
A 5-story place on the edge of town. Peeling paint.
A stairwell that smelled like cats and old linoleum.
He opened on the third knock. Short man. Shaking hands. Eyes like someone who hasn't slept properly in years. Cole asked directly, do you remember the night of November 15, 1991? Simmons went pale. I remember. Fog. Thick fog.
And that smell, like something was burning.
What time did the truck come through? 9:43, I wrote it down. I always wrote it down. Cole showed him a copy of the route sheet.
This says 9:15.
Almost a 30-minute difference. Simmons wiped sweat off his palm. That can't be. I looked at the station clock. It never ran wrong. Cole pressed. Were you waiting for a train? Yes. A freight train. Number 217. It always ran on schedule. Cole made another note. Because always on schedule in real life is a joke. In an investigation, it's a trap. Next stop, the company owner. Grant Holloway met Cole on the 23rd floor of a glass office tower. Expensive suit. Expensive watch.
Expensive smile, the kind that costs more than the truth.
Detective. This about the old case? How do you know? I got a call this morning.
They said the truck was found.
Holloway opened a safe and pulled out a folder of photographs. Paul and Daniel.
2 young men beside the truck, smiling like people who don't know they've already been erased. Tell me about the cargo, Cole said.
Auto parts. Standard shipment. Nothing valuable? Holloway hesitated. Well,
I insured it for a large amount. Early 90s were a nervous time.
Everyone was afraid of everything. How large?
10 times more than the real value.
Cole looked up. And you collected that insurance? Yes. 6 months later. Once they were declared missing. That money saved the company. Cole kept writing, watching Holloway.
There was something in the man's eyes that didn't match the view in the glass and the polished floors.
Fear. Or guilt. Where were you on the night of November 15, 1991? Chicago. Dinner with partners. Receipts. Witnesses. Too smooth. Too convenient. After that, county library. A woman named Megan Dawson worked there. 55. Calm.
Too calm for someone whose brother vanished under mysterious circumstances. She sat at the table like she'd expected this visit, and didn't even pretend to be surprised.
You're the missing driver's sister? Cole asked. Yes. And you planned that route? Yes. Why through crossing 47? Shorter route.
Saves about 20 miles.
Holloway demanded optimization. Every dollar mattered. She pulled out an album. Yellowed photos. Here's Paul. 3 years younger than me. Our father was a trucker. He taught us how to drive.
Cole studied her face. It barely changed.
No normal grief, no anger. Just a flat emptiness. Did your brother call you that evening? Yes. Around 8. From a gas station on the highway out of town.
He said the road was clear.
Joked he'd make it by morning. She closed the album. That was the last time I heard his voice. Cole returned to the station and laid out everything from the 12 crates. All men. Age range, 25 to 35. All long-haul drivers.
Most were single or divorced. And all of them passed through crossing number 47 between August 1989 and November 1991. He told his assistant, "Check who planned the routes."
The answer came fast.
7 of the 12 routes were planned by the same dispatcher,
Megan Dawson. She'd been freelancing shifts across multiple companies.
Cole pulled one of the photos again.
In the background, caught by accident, there was a license plate. Kansas. On the back, written in pencil, "Last stop before freedom."
A records request led to a place that makes your stomach tighten before you even walk in.
A psychiatric hospital in Kansas City. A state facility that shut down in 1993 after a scandal.
In the patient registry, one name stood out.
Andrew Mercer. 32. Diagnosis, paranoid disorder with delusions of persecution.
He claimed there was an organization systematically abducting truck drivers.
He kept detailed notes. Drew maps. Built timelines. Cole almost smirked. Right up until he saw the visitation log.
Mercer had been visited regularly by a woman.
Signed, M. Dawson. Relationship listed, cousin. Cole called Megan. "Did you know Andrew Mercer?" A long pause. "Yes. I knew him. You wrote cousin on the hospital forms. It was easier. For visitation. Who was he to you really?" "Nobody, and too much." She exhaled. "We met by chance.
He approached me at a bus station.
He looked lost.
I helped him find the hospital.
Then I visited. He was lonely." Cole hung up and kept digging.
In one of the crates, inside an old jacket, they found a crossing access pass.
Name, Walter Simmons. Date, November 16th. The day after the disappearance.
But the pass was valid only through November 15th.
Cole requested the rail log.
And found the fact that shattered Simmons' perfect memory. Freight train number 217 that night was delayed 3 hours due to a storm on the line. It passed the crossing at 12:15 a.m., now November 16th,
which meant Simmons either lied, or he wasn't there. Cole went back. Dropped the rail log on Simmons' table. "You weren't on post."
Simmons covered his face with both hands.
"No. I left. My wife was sick. Fever. Delirious. I thought she was dying." "Who covered for you?" "Frank Egan. Senior track walker. He swapped with me." "Where is he now?" Simmons swallowed. "Died in 92. Heart attack."
The witness was dead.
"How convenient." That same day, Cole met with an informant at the DMV. They brought printouts. All 12 missing drivers had been pulled over 4 minor violations within a month before they vanished. Speeding. Seatbelt. Headlight. But every stop happened at the same location. An inspection checkpoint on I-55, mile marker 45.
And one name kept repeating in the officer field.
Sergeant Brooks.
Fired in 1992 for abuse of authority.
After that, he vanished. Cole went back to Holloway. "Why did you return from Chicago early on the morning of November 16th? Holloway tensed. "I got a call overnight." "From who?" "Megan. Around 5 a.m.
She said the truck didn't arrive."
Cole leaned forward. "The depot in Chicago didn't open until 8. At 5 a.m. nobody there could know whether the truck arrived or not." Holloway went silent.
And for the first time he didn't look like a corporate king. He looked like a man caught standing in front of a door he hoped no one would open. But lawyers did what lawyers do.
Holloway had an airtight alibi. Receipts. Video. 3 witnesses. Cole signed the release paperwork. and was left staring at what didn't fit. 12 crates. 7 bodies at the quarry.
Paul and Daniel, 2 extra in the death count.
That makes 9.
So where were the other 3? He pushed through an arrest warrant for Megan on the totality of evidence, route tampering, falsified logs, and connection to Mercer. And in the holding cell, staring at a wall like it was a screen replaying the same night over and over, Megan finally spoke.
You want the truth?
Cole sat across from her.
All of it.
Every detail.
Megan lifted her eyes. Dark circles underneath. Dry lips.
And a voice so steady it sounded like she was reading somebody else's biography. The 3 extra crates, those aren't victims.
Those are the ones he wanted next. Andrew had a parallel list. He secretly studied drivers. Took items from rest stops. Built dossiers.
He was obsessed with the idea of cleansing.
Cole didn't interrupt.
7, she continued, 7 were real murders.
Planned. Through him. He believed he was saving the world. And I gave him targets. She swallowed.
Paul and Daniel were my fatal mistake.
I did that myself. Silence. What happened on November 15th? Cole asked.
Megan closed her eyes. Then began speaking slowly, like she was pulling words out of freezing water.
Andrew came on the 14th. During the day, earlier than planned. He knocked around 3. I was home with a fever. He escaped the hospital? Yes.
And he said he understood everything.
That there was no abduction organization. That it was me.
That it was my revenge.
That I used his illness.
Cole listened.
He cried. Like a kid. Said he loved me. Said he'd do anything for me.
And I turned him into a killer.
He was going to the police?
Yes. He said he'd confess. She paused, and in that pause there was more horror than in any sentence.
But he didn't go. Cole already knew, but asked anyway, why not?
Because I drugged his tea.
Strong sedative.
He fell asleep in 15 minutes.
I tied him with a phone cord and locked him in the basement. Cole felt the puzzle click into something monstrous and complete.
And you went to the crossing instead of him?
Yes.
I wore his clothes.
Hat. Scarf to hide my face. We were similar height.
I brought the gas canister, the one Andrew used.
For what? I wanted to stop Paul. Redirect him. Close the gate, say there's maintenance, anything.
Anything to keep him from going to the quarry, to the place where Andrew usually did his work.
She looked down. I paid the attendant. $500. Everything I had.
But Paul still arrived.
Yes.
And then she said the detail that made it not just a crime story, but a tragedy. And he wasn't supposed to have that dispatcher with him.
Cole raised an eyebrow.
By the schedule, Sergeant Brooks was supposed to ride alone. That officer, the one who extorted drivers.
I set it up. I wanted the bad one in the passenger seat. So Andrew would do what he does.
Her hands clenched. But instead, Daniel Reed went.
A good man.
His wife was pregnant. She fell quiet for a second,
and I froze. What happened next? Megan stared through the walls.
Daniel jumped out of the cab, ran to the booth to ask why the gate was down.
Paul was smiling. Waving. He didn't recognize me. Fog. Scarf. Dark. Did you mean to kill them?
No, she whispered.
I wanted to knock them out. An hour. 2. Move the truck. Then wake them up. Explain to Paul. Let him turn me in. Anything was better than.
Her voice broke. But I had never used the gas myself.
Andrew always calculated the dose. He had a table. Wait, time, concentration. She swallowed again, and I just opened the valve. How much? Too much. Cole didn't blink. They stopped breathing in 3 minutes. You tried to save them? Yes. I dragged them out. CPR. My father taught me when I was a kid.
She pressed her palms to her temples.
But it was too late. Cole asked softly, "Did Paul recognize you?"
She nodded, tears finally forming.
At the last second.
The scarf slipped.
He looked at me, and said one word.
What word?
Why? That was it. No anger. No fear. Just a question.
Megan wiped her tears like they were getting in the way of finishing.
Then, blackout, I came to in the warehouse.
The truck was already there.
I must have driven it myself. My dad taught me. Hands remember. Bodies? I loaded them. I don't know how. Adrenaline. Madness. Cole waited.
I went home near dawn.
Around 5. Andrew woke up in the basement. Saw me in his clothes.
There was blood on the sleeves. Paul's nose bled when I tried to resuscitate him.
He understood. Yes. What did he say? Megan gave a dry smile with no warmth. Nothing. He just asked, "Paul? And you?" I nodded. She took a deep breath. He said, "I'll weld the box shut. I'll hide everything, your evidence and mine. Then I'll disappear. Don't look for me. For you, I died tonight." Cole leaned in. And he disappeared. Yes.
But first, he brought the crates.
12. His collection.
He carried them into the truck, arranged them neatly. Then he found a welding rig in the warehouse and sealed the doors.
3 hours. We didn't say a word. Cole sat in silence for a moment.
Why didn't he destroy the truck?
Megan shrugged. Maybe he wanted it found one day.
So the truth would open.
Or maybe it was punishment for me living, knowing the evidence existed. Cole pulled out a photo. Andrew Mercer. Hollow face. Sunken cheeks. Eyes that looked like fire under glass.
They found his body a month after your arrest, Cole said.
In the woods. He hanged himself. In his pocket, your photo and Paul's photo. On the back, "Forgive us, Paul. We are both monsters." Megan nodded. I'm not surprised. The trial was short. The sentence, life without parole.
7 planned murders committed through a mentally ill man.
2 deaths by negligence, the brother and an innocent dispatcher.
And 3 next sets, people who would have been targeted afterward. 3 years later, Megan died in prison from lung cancer. A nurse later said Megan was delirious in her last night, calling for her brother, and near the end she smiled and whispered, "Paul came.
He says he forgave me."
Detective Cole retired after that case. When someone asked him why, he answered, "Because sometimes the system doesn't catch monsters.
Sometimes the system makes them."
Crossing number 47 was demolished a year later. The quarry was partially drained, 7 sets of remains were recovered. The truck was scrapped. The warehouse was leveled. Today there's a highway ramp there, and a gas station. People pull in at night, buy coffee, laugh, complain about prices. And they have no idea that beneath their tires once lay a story about 12 crates. 12 lives. A woman who wanted justice and became a killer. A sick man who loved and became a weapon. And a brother who died with one simple question on his lips, why? If you made it to this point, type 47 in the comments. I'll see how many of us are here. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. Because some secrets don't die. They just wait until someone accidentally knocks down the wall.